always at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Alex, and news is what the 49ers are about. Lots of more corresponding moves have fallen since yesterday.
True.
Or a couple days ago, actually, where they made like a bunch of moves. It seems like the moves never stop.
They don't stop. They don't want to stop. I don't want them to stop, to be honest with you. And I'm enjoying Blazing Agent down there and Team Co's for life. I thought it was Team Tacos, Ant. And that man was about to be one of the new favorite subs on the channel.
Team Tacos would have been solid.
Would have been great. Would have been absolutely great. Because tacos are life, especially on game day. But look,
who would do tacos on game day?
I don't know. I feel like there's a couple people on this pod that would love to do tacos on game day. But look, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's jump into all of the information, Ant, that's out there, because there's a lot of information out there. Shockingly, the Niners are making moves, doing things, activating players, doing things like that. But there is some somber news. There's some not as great news, something that we were all hoping for. I was looking forward to adding him into the Madden simulation, but Ant, Dre Greenlaw is not going this week.
Yeah, it's Dre Greenlaw wasn't ready. You know, we knew he had some tests that he had to get through before Wednesday, and then they were going to open that practice window if he got through them. They just said he wasn't quite ready. They're going to push it back a week, so it looks like he won't be ready to go until the Rams. The 49ers linebacker core will not be 100% against Arizona.
Darn it.
Could it be that the 49ers are looking at Arizona and the potential of how the Arizona plays offense and say, you know what, we can use an extra week of Dre Greenlaw off the field, give him an extra little bit to get ready? That could be the case. So it could be somewhat strategic. It could also be that Dre just wasn't ready. Either way, he's not going to be out there, and we got to wait until they play the Los Angeles Rams. But that's going to be a very important game, and a game that we're going to need him to go in there and stop people. So we're getting closer and closer, but we're just not there yet. But I do like the idea of him being back, us having a full, healthy linebacker core and able to stop the run with very, very solid run fit.
Yes, 100% yes. This is important. It's important that you don't rush this back and go a little bit too heavy with this and get him out there a little bit earlier and then have him miss more time. I would rather have a healthy 100% Dre Greenlaw, or as close to 100% as you can get anyway. A Dre Greenlaw out there in space where the coaching staff is sitting there going, oh gosh, oh no. I want everyone feeling comfortable. I want Dre feeling comfortable. So if he's not ready, he's not passing that test, he's not doing what he needs to be doing, or not exactly where his body needs to be, then you've found a way to survive so far. I mean, the defense, for the most part, has been playing pretty good without Dre Greenlaw. You'd be playing a lot better with Dre Greenlaw.
100%.
But we can live. We can survive one more week, especially with a potential limited Kyler Murray or no Kyler Murray, although signs are trending towards Kyler Murray being active and good to go, which sucks if you're the 49ers. I mean, let's be real here. I mean, you don't want anyone ever to get hurt. But if you're the 49ers and you can get a Kyler Murray-less Arizona Cardinals, so you'll take it. You want to take it every day of the week. Looks like he's feeling good. He's saying he's feeling good. Will they actually pull the trigger and let this guy roll out there in space? They're going to do the same thing with DeAndre Hopkins, who's dealing with a little bit of a hamstring. We'll see. Time will tell. It's still early in the week. It's only Thursday. So a lot of things can still change and a lot of things can still happen. Basically, we'll all be waiting on the edge of our seat. The 49ers, though, going about this the right way, saying they're preparing for a Kyler Murray-led Arizona Cardinals team. Shocked, Ant. Just shocked.
Yeah, we probably won't know until Friday, what's going to happen when they release the official reports. If he's listed as doubtful, then he's not going to play. Or if he's listed as out at that point, then he won't play. But if he's questionable, I fully expect for Kyler Murray to be out there. But the 49ers are doing the right thing. You go plan for Kyler Murray, you go plan for the things that he does, and then you can adjust quickly on the fly to what Colt McCoy does.
Correct.
McCoy doesn't have the awareness, he doesn't have the quickness, he's not able to get outside the pocket and create. He can do a little bit of it. He'll be able to move the pocket a little bit. He's got some athleticism. But there's going to be some differences in how you play against an offense led by Colt McCoy. It could also be huge. The possible AJ Green being out because of COVID. That could be huge. It's just like you brought up with DeAndre Hopkins maybe being out with a hamstring. there's a possibility they're going to go into this game without those two guys and Kyler Murray, which could absolutely change the way that this offense runs. It'll be all about Christian Kirk. It'll all be about Zach Ertz, Rondale Moore. So I mean, they still have the weapons. I mean,
100%.
here I am. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, AJ Green and DeAndre Hopkins are out.
Man, that's
And
that's
then
a
you
big
name off the other thing.
weapon.
Well, those guys are pretty good too. Not to mention they got a pretty good running back group too.
Darn
So
it.
it's not going to be easy no matter what. The 49ers are going to have to earn this win, and they need to go out there and do it. But yeah, that it would be a lot different without Kyler Murray out there.
It definitely would, but that's not the only guy that's dealing with stuff. You got Zaven Collins dealing with the shoulder, Chase Edmonds dealing with the shoulder, Max Garcia still dealing with the Achilles, Rashard Lawrence with the calf, Justin Pugh with the calf. So, I mean, we've been talking about this, right? You know, the 49ers have been banged up. Teams are now starting to get banged up as well. They're dealing with stuff. Mr. Houston there, Mr. Hudson is supposed to be back this week as well, so they're not going to be having to roll with their backup Max Garcia or their third string if both guys were out. So their line getting a little bit healthy, but some guys dealing with some stuff. And the 49ers getting healthy. You got Aziz, full participant in practice yesterday. D Ford, full participant in practice. Marcel Harris, full participant in practice, as well as the practice window being open. George Kittle back at practice. And Jeff Wilson Jr. making a return out there running around doing stuff in space. I was hoping the practice window would be there. I was hoping we'd see some stuff from Jeff Wilson. I didn't expect to see what was being posted and what I've heard about Jeff Wilson's practice. Looking really good. 6 months removed from meniscus surgery. Is this guy? It's possible. I mean, it's really possible that he could play this weekend. I don't anticipate or expect it, but man, I'll tell you what, he looks like he's gonna be good to go here at least by next week.
Yeah, he looks like he's getting back to full strength, and I think it's all about getting his legs underneath him. So I would be surprised if he plays against the Cardinals, and if he does, it's going to be in an extremely limited role. But for the Rams, I mean, yeah, he might be ready to go against them. He might be able to get some carries and put some pressure on the Rams to be able to account for him because he can do a lot of things that are a little bit different than Elijah Mitchell. We talked about him running with physicality, with anger. Elijah Mitchell runs with physicality, but Jeff Wilson Jr. knows how to finish runs around the goal line. It's a little bit of a different animal.
True.
So I'm encouraged by that. I like the way it looked. It was nice having George Kittle back out there. Yeah, I know practice was completely light. They've made it even more relaxed because Kyle Shanahan is trying to manage people's bodies. He knows they're a little bit banged up. But they're going to ramp it up today. They're going to get it going. They're going to see what they can do, and I'm excited to see what they do at practice. I'm excited to see these guys back. It was a little interesting seeing Jeff Wilson wearing number 22, and not the typical 30 that I'm used to, but I'm all for it. I'm all for seeing this guy get out there, rumble, and get this 49ers team a little bit closer. And people calling for the 49ers should have traded for a running back. You don't need to trade for a running back when you're getting Jeff Wilson Jr. back.
True.
That is a huge pickup for this team. Elijah Mitchell's been proving what he can do. Now you have a two-headed monster to go with the third down back skills of JaMychal Hasty. I think you're sitting pretty at the running back position as long as these guys are healthy.
Yeah, you're sitting a lot better. I can tell you that. You're significantly better if Jeff Wilson is healthy. But speaking of health in the running back room, you had Elijah Mitchell, who was a DNP yesterday in practice with a rib. Debo apparently re-aggravated his calf in the game. I'm stunned, man. The big 84-yard run, all the other stuff that Debo Samuel's doing, the deep pass, aggravated his calf, so he's not feeling too great. Obviously, Jimmy Ward dealing with the quad stuff, so he was out of practice. And Trent Williams still dealing with the ankle. Are you worried about Debo? I mean, this is the question that everyone is having now. Every 49ers fan is worried about because, you haven't had another wide receiver really elevate themselves into the anywhere near the stratosphere that Debo Samuel has set. Are you worried at all about this calf? Because the aggravation is real. He tweaked it a little bit. He's still having to rest. I know Debo's saying, hey, I'm going to be good later this week. Hey, I know that, but he's got some lower body injuries, a history of it, whether it's the foot fracture, whether it's the stuff last year with the knee and the ankle. This is getting a little worrisome with the lower leg extremity.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. I'm concerned. I think if it would have just been them managing, from last week, it would have been a different story. But the fact that he re-aggravated is pause for concern. I mean, the guy plays physical, and he's been doing a lot. You don't have over 150 yards receiving in a football game, unless you're doing a lot. And he made a lot of big plays in that game. He's pivotal to this offense. He's accounting for over 46% of the 49ers offense. That's impressive.
It's a lot.
So yeah, it's pause for concern. But if he comes out and he starts practicing like he did last week, a limited capacity today, maybe even some on Friday, then I will feel more comfortable because Kyle Shanahan said he would be surprised if Deebo Samuel didn't line up and play on Sunday. The fact that Kyle used that term means that, hey, I think Deebo Samuel's got a pretty good, potential to be out there and playing on Sunday, and we really do need him. So I think he's going to go for it, and I think he's going to make it, but they're going to have to manage him. They're going to have to take care of this because we can't lose Deebo Samuel off of this team right now. We just got George Kittle back, and George Kittle will take some of the load off. Brandon Aiyuk's emergence is starting to come on. We're getting healthy at the right time. Not a good time to lose someone like Deebo Samuel, but yes, I am concerned.
Agreed with you there. I am definitely concerned as well when regards to this with what's going on with Deebo. And it's specifically because he's had a history. The history for me is something that a guy who spent time with athletic trainers, working in the physical therapy rehab clinic, seeing athletes come in, lower extremity stuff, it can start piling up. It really can. And if you have issues and problems and you start having injuries in that lower extremity, you tend to have gait issues in the way you move, walk, etc., and it can lead to other problems as well, and you just don't want that. You don't want other problems popping up. It's bad enough that he's got a calf injury. You don't want it to turn into a back. You don't want it to turn into a quad. You don't want it to turn into other things around his body because he's having a copy. Oh, let's not even start with the Achilles.
And foot is the first thing I start worrying about when I hear calf.
Yeah, it's all attached, right?
Yeah.
The calf muscle, that gastrocnemius, which is what your calf's made up of, the soleus muscle there on the backside too as well in between. It all feeds into that Achilles. So if you start having calf problems, it can flare up. It can cause issues there. So Deebo, stay healthy. The training staff and the 49ers are definitely going to be managed because you can't be missing this guy for an extended period of time. You'd prefer not to be missing him at all whatsoever. But it now becomes ever more apparent for Brandon Aiyuk, right, to step up and start doing things. And it's slowly emerging on the screen right now.
Yeah.
What is happening here? Oh my gosh.
Braden.
Oh my gosh, who is Bradon?
Bradon Aiyuk.
Who is Bradon Aiyuk? I don't even know who that is.
It's Bradon Aiyuk.
Our editor is totally screwing this up right now. But look, the Brandon Aiyuk GPS scenario, Ant. Is this thing having any weight? The talk of GPS tracking with the players in the 49ers camp, it was brought up. Kyle, I guess, dropped a hint for Matt Mayoko.
A few hints, yeah.
A few hints about how, they were monitoring guys' speed and performance and things of that nature with their GPS stuff. And it seems like maybe what was going on earlier with Brandon Aiyuk was that he wasn't running hard and they were tracking and looking at things and then watching film back and being like, this guy's not going 100%. He might be dogging it. And it seems like maybe there were players too that were feeling that Brandon wasn't pushing himself 100% and were concerned. There was the talks of the hamstring injury, right? We talked about Blem Road on top of the doghouse. Dude, was he in the doghouse?
It was around it for sure.
I think he might have been in the doghouse.
I'm pretty sure that I feel very comfortable with my statements along the process about what they were doing and what was being said.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I doubted Blem Road.
Yeah.
I apologize for doubting Blem Road. It was 10 million% Blem Road.
Yeah. So yeah, this GPS thing, what Kyle Shanahan's able to review, how fast top end speed on certain things, and then he can kind of correlate it with what routes are being called and that sort of thing. And what his average GPS was, how fast he's moving, per route and all that stuff. But he just wasn't going full speed in practice. He wasn't pushing himself to the limit. That's where they're talking about complacency. That's what they're talking about him not pushing himself all the time. And they're trying to get him out of it. But I think now everyone that was complaining about Kyle Shanahan's way of managing Brandon Aiyuk needs to take a step back, look at it, and realize that this was a Brandon Aiyuk problem, not a Kyle Shanahan problem, and that Kyle Shanahan, they went to him first, guaranteed, because the way that they were handling this was it was a hamstring issue, or it was this, or it was that. They were giving Brandon Aiyuk time to recover from this. When he didn't, that's when they turned to the media, and they said, you know what? This is what's going on with Brandon Aiyuk. He hasn't got there yet. He's in a sophomore struggle. They're trying to push him, and it wasn't working, obviously, talking to him, faced up, so they went to the media that direction. They had to give somebody an idea of what was going on with Brandon Aiyuk. Wasn't a Kyle Shanahan problem. It's been a Brandon Aiyuk problem. Brandon Aiyuk needed to step up his game. Finally, it looks like he is. Now he's getting more acclimated to the offense. So I think there's a lot of things that can be answered. I think there's even an answer for why he didn't play as many snaps against Detroit.
In week one? Yeah, I think you're right.
We can't confirm it yet, so we're not going to talk about, the exact reason why. But Kyle Shanahan has been very calculated, and he's handled this the right way. He didn't put out the exact reasons why, but it appears that Brandon Aiyuk was dogging it at practice.
And look, I've actually heard comments already saying, we, the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, this team, Jed York allowed Kyle Shanahan to put Brandon Aiyuk in this situation where we're going to dock him because he's not running routes full speed in practice. Huh? Guy? What? I saw that post and screenshotted it, and it's going to be on Big Yikes on Monday. So get ready, guy.
Hey.
Get ready, fella.
You know what? It's crazy, Alex. Me and you both coached. If a player was out there dogging it, you know what they would have been doing?
Sitting on the bench.
Exactly. There would have been somebody that would have taken their spot.
Where they belonged. I mean, you cannot, as a wide receiver, there are two things that you can't do, right? Two things you can't do. When it's your turn to block out in space, you can't not block. And number two, you cannot half run a route, half speed, slow speed, 3/4 speed. You need to run full speed. You have to. Everything timing is predicated on it within your offense, as well as your timing with your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They need to know where you're going to be in space. Jimmy even dropped hints at this, right? I know where Trent's going to be. I don't know where, he never said he didn't know where Brandon was going to be, but he conveniently left Brandon Aiyuk out of that conversation when discussing, why Trent was excelling and exceeding. There's a good chance that Jimmy was one of those guys going, dude, this guy is not anywhere consistently near where he's supposed to be in space. Like, I don't know where he's going to be because I don't think he's running full speed, coach. And a quarterback knows. A quarterback knows that 100%. 100%. If he knows where you're going to be at any given time in space.
You know who else knows? Defenders.
Yeah, that's also true.
I bet his own team is like,
this guy's not going full speed.
Not even close.
So look, whether or not, Kyle said hamstring, was there an actual hamstring issue? I don't want to speculate one way or the other. But I will say this. Anyone that's been making excuses for Brandon Aiyuk, it's time to check yourself. It's time to check where your loyalties were. Your loyalties with the guy because of his rookie campaign. What he had done for you. What he had done for this organization, this franchise in the past. Your loyalties need to lie with this team, this organization, and what it is going forward. You and I both thought there was more to this than what was going on. Couldn't really figure it out. It was a little puzzling, a little baffling. They said the sophomore struggles. So it's like, well, maybe there's the mentality is just not there, and it's just I had mentioned early that it was potentially work ethic. Looks like it was work ethic, and it definitely looks like it was also Blem Road. And they're definitely getting on this guy now. They've definitely turned some sort of corner, or at least turned over a new leaf and a fresh start for Brandon, because he seems to be getting himself going. He is going in a different direction, in a positive direction, and that's important because this team needs him to step up in a huge way. With Debo dealing with stuff, teams are going to be, trying to put Brandon in situations where he's going to need to step up. He's going to need to execute. He's going to need to win. And Kyle, Jimmy, line, this team needs to be able to trust that we're getting the best version of this guy out there in space. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, this guy's lazy. Oh, this guy don't care. This isn't important to him. No, this is a young kid.
He had to learn.
He's a young kid who had an extremely good rookie campaign, and the sky was the limit. And, probably just felt like, you know what? I know who I am. I know what I can do. I can get there. I don't need to necessarily go too hard right now. Let's keep myself healthy. Let's keep myself fresh. And Kyle's going, yeah, no. Coaching staff's going, yeah, no. The team's looking at him like, dude, no, you don't get that luxury, bro. You're not a 7-year vet in this league. You haven't really proved anything. You've shown one thing. You've shown one glimpse, one flash of potential brilliance and potential greatness. It's time for you to work, though, earn it, and prove to everybody that you can be that great while also putting in the work and taking your lumps like you're supposed to, young man. You may not be a rook no more, but you definitely ain't. You're not a vet.
Oh, he's definitely still a rook. Because last year he went through a shortened training camp.
Correct.
And was hurt for part of that training camp.
Also true.
He's never went through a full training camp. He didn't know what the grind was going to be. He didn't know how it was going to be, so he managed himself through it. This happens a lot with players. I mean, there's a coast period. I mean, I know I did it as a player sometimes. There were times when I was like, I need to coast. I'm going to coast to this part. Coasting doesn't get you there, especially when it's your job in the NFL, and that's what they're trying to do with a wake-up call. But then we got into the preseason, Alex, and there was moments where he didn't look like he had chemistry with Trey Lance, and everyone said, well, they need to make sure that Brandon and Trey are getting those reps together. They were at practice. We saw it a bunch of times where they were running those guys together. The problem was Brandon wasn't going full speed. So Trey's idea of where he was going to be was wrong, and so it made Trey look bad. So there are plays that happened in the preseason for Brandon Aiyuk, Trey Lance, and Jimmy Garoppolo, where the quarterbacks took the brunt of it, and it was a Brandon Aiyuk problem.
Well, remember, they took the brunt of it from the fan base to an extent.
That's what I'm saying.
To an extent. But Kyle kept putting the onus on Brandon Aiyuk.
100%.
The drops were Brandon. Brandon's got to make those catches. Brandon's got to be there, all those types of things. And I gave Brandon a little bit of pass, right, on the first drop against Kansas City. You know, hey, he let him out there in space. There was a guy there. And maybe Trey Lance doesn't leave him in space if Trey Lance trusts better where Brandon Aiyuk's going to be in space.
Or maybe Brandon Aiyuk was supposed to be where Trey threw the ball.
Also true.
That's the problem, is when you don't have guys that are doing it full speed every time.
Starts asking.
When you don't play at game speed, then you don't know where someone's going to be. So when you get out there and the Bulls start flying, especially someone like Trey Lance, he expects you to be in one certain location. And if you're not there, you make him look bad. And it's unfortunate for the kid.
It is.
But it's a wake-up call for Brandon. And you know what? Brandon looked a lot better in this game, so hopefully he bounces back. But it does give a lot of context to how Brandon has been handled. So all the questions that we've been receiving all throughout the year about this and that about Brandon, we were pretty spot on about what we thought, you know. So it's tough, but I think he's learned his lesson. I think what Kyle Shanahan and them did was right. Ultimately, I don't like talking through the media, but if someone's not responding to a one-on-one, you know, coach's challenge or them bringing it on, then you've got to find other ways. And they did it. It seems to have worked. So we're going to chalk this up to a big win for the way that the front office and Kyle Shanahan handled Brandon Aiyuk.
And it seems like even Brandon knows that that he was dogging it. He was taking some time off. It seemed right. He seems like he was a kid who got his hand caught in the cookie jar. Right?
Oh yeah, he got it.
He got his hand caught in the cookie jar.
No, he got caught with his mouth full of cookies.
It's true. Oh.
I can only control. I can control.
It's too late. I already ate the cookies.
Yeah.
You can't punish me for that. But I guess we can punish me for, not doing that in the future. And that's kind of what's going on. Yeah. And Brandon's making his change. He's making his shift. He's getting himself into the right positions, and that's good. That's good news for the 49ers. It's great news for Brandon Aiyuk. It's good news for Jimmy Garoppolo, too, because him having another option that he can trust is going to help his level of play.
Yes.
Help the things that he can do on the field, as well as Trey Lance, and which is important for the 49ers, because if the 49ers are able to recoup this season, move themselves in the right direction, and Jimmy Garoppolo continues to play well. Right now, he's Jimmy No Deals, and he's Jimmy No Deals Garoppolo because there were absolutely no deals for Jimmy Garoppolo during the trade deadline, but that could be a different case come the end of the season. But that was a very interesting revelation. They asked Jimmy yesterday about, did the Niners ever approach you? Did anyone ever approach you about, potential offers or teams that were inquiring about you? And he said, no one did.
Yeah, I think that's big. I think that shows that the 49ers had trust in Jimmy Garoppolo and that they planned on this being the process. They planned on Jimmy Garoppolo being the quarterback until, Trey Lance is ready to take over whenever that is. And it appears that it's going to be more down the line like we anticipated. Trey Lance is learning. He's progressing. And as the season goes on, maybe he'll have more opportunities. But right now, Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy. Jimmy Garoppolo got it done against Chicago. He has to prove that he can get it done against Arizona.
Correct.
But the fact that they didn't even, come to him with any sort of a, possibility of a trade, it means they're firmly behind him. And I think he can feel confident now that it's behind him too. He said, now that's behind us. I think that he will feel more confident, more comfortable with, his ability to play for this team for the rest of the season and not have to worry about it. So I think he'll take even more charge of this team, but he's going to have to show up against Arizona. But it looks like the plan is still in place and how the 49ers viewed this season with Trey Lance as a developmental piece for at least 1 year.
At least one.
I still think it's one.
I mean, I'm still there with you, unless a certain someone comes to San Francisco.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got some other problems going on.
Yeah, just a couple of them.
Bogle, sup?
Sup, Bogle. Bogle. Why would it be between that and McLovin? I don't understand. Look.
Hello, Mindy.
Oh man, and we're about to tell Aaron what time it is. Look, yeah. I don't get. Not that I don't get. I'm still a little. I guess the right word is miffed about the whole quarterback situation and how, some of the stuff gets brought up that it does. But I am comfortable with the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy right now. It seems like this team has committed very lightly to Jimmy Garoppolo. You and I still are in the firm boat and belief that this team continues to struggle and you become irrelevant. It is still Trey's time. It's time to let the young man go and see what you got and start giving him those growing pains a little earlier than next season. But Jimmy Garoppolo can still execute at a high level. And I know there's some people, and I know I was one of the ones that was saying, hey, his back is up against the wall. I've already seen a couple people, well, now that the trade deadline's come and gone and there's no potential Jimmy Garoppolo to be traded, his back is no longer against the wall. False. It's still 100% firmly pressed up against the wall.
All he has to do is do this, and there's a fat shadow with a number 5 on it.
Correct.
Just waiting, hovering to take his spot.
Yes. 1,000% yes. And not just that, his future. His future rides on the success of this team. Teams wanting him to be a quarterback in this league and wanting, him to be their quarterback in this league hinges on what happens with this 49ers roster. Also, if you decide to make the move to Trey Lance, do you as the 49ers need to keep Jimmy Garoppolo? Do you really need to? If the team is playing that bad and Jimmy's playing that bad, are you going to get any trade capital for Jimmy Garoppolo? If the Niners are sitting there going, I don't think so, he could just get cut.
Yeah, I think they want him to play well. I mean, it benefits them. They can win football games, have a chance to make the playoffs, and then see what they can do. But also twofold is the no trade clause is gone in the offseason. So they can go ahead and move him. I think the 49ers will be very smart with it, though. They're gonna work with Jimmy to find a good situation for him to land in.
Yes.
But ultimately, they're going to try to get the most they can get back from him. And whether that is a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a second, a third, whatever it is, they're going to take what they can get, and they're going to use it, to the best of their ability to build a team around Trey Lance. You're going to get that $25 million off your books,
which is nice.
But yeah, I think that right now though you're counting on Jimmy Garoppolo to help get you there, and at the same time you're counting on Trey Lance to keep developing and watching. Seeing how he's responding. I was watching Baldy's breakdowns a little bit, and he was going over some of the games, and Jimmy, he was praising Jimmy pretty good. But one of the things he brought up was literally there's a throw to Brandon Aiyuk where Jimmy rolls out and throws it in space. Brandon makes a catch and gets out of bounds, and you see Trey Lance running up the sidelines excited and cheering for his teammate. That is the relationship we've seen, right, between Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a healthy quarterback room, which means that's a healthy relationship, which means Trey's growth is going to be healthy. And I think everyone can look into that and see, this is a young kid who understands the situation and is rooting for somebody that he doesn't believe he should be starting over right now, but somebody that is a mentor that he's learning from. And so that's a good sign for the 49ers moving forward.
It also means, man, that, when Kyle said they talked to everyone in the room and everyone was on the same page in terms of what you had here and what was going on, he wasn't lying. What a surprise, Ant. When the Niners put stuff out there, the media puts stuff out to people, it's accurate.
Yeah.
Stunned.
Yeah, you get some Kyle Shanahan Snickers for that one. He did some more in the press conference yesterday. Phenomenal, by the way.
You just love it. You love the Snickers.
Yeah, he's glad no one can look at his GPS readings. That's what he said.
True. I mean, it's probably pretty still. I did enjoy him talking, and you had brought it up to me a little bit. The guys who were basically toying with their GPS numbers because they're throwing their shoulder pads or sprinting between drills or water to boost their averages.
Sudfeld and Juszczyk are running between drills to get their numbers up. It's like, how are they running free?
Pump those bad boys
And then
up.
he said he's watched them between drills and he sees them sprinting. And he's like, oh, okay, that's what's going on.
That's why the average is so high. These freaking guys.
You gotta love that.
I mean, look.
See, Brandon's just got to be smarter.
You work smarter, not necessarily harder, Brandon.
Find out ways to move your average up.
Hey, yeah. Well, the guys throwing their shoulder pads to try and get 30 miles per hour is just hilarious also.
Raheem Mostert's like, that's ridiculous. I only ran 23.
Nobody on this team, the Niners know what the cap number is, right? That you have the Mostert speed.
Usain Bolt's running the 30, and you guys who thinking that's going to be a good idea.
Got him. You know what the best part is, too? They're throwing the shoulder pads, too, waiting for coach to come up to and be like, hey, 30 miles an hour. That's impressive over there. They know.
Yeah, it's like when I was in school and the PE teacher used to make us do our heart rate, and we didn't like doing it, and we forgot one day, so I copied off somebody else, and the teacher came to us and told us we were all dead. Wonderful. Thank you.
Copied the wrong person.
Oh, yeah. And he was really smart too.
Big yikes.
Yeah.
That's a big yikes.
Well, we all had the same, so. But she wanted us to stop in football practice and check our heart rate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not my favorite PE teacher.
No.
Sorry,
I mean, listen, it's
sorry, Mrs. Locke. You were not very Locke.
Look, it is what it is. But we do have some other information, some other news. We got practice squad players and moves happening and guys being signed and them doing things. Also, Charles Omenihu, everyone, just so you're aware and you understand, he did in fact pass his physical. Trade is official. Mr. Omenihu in San Francisco also will be in the Madden simulation. So congratulations to Mr. Omenihu. Yeah. Anyway, practice squad signings. Tyrell Adams, Ant.
So yeah, he made it. So
made it to the practice
we're happy
squad.
about that.
Linebacker Christian Ellis. And there was no information on this man.
What's up?
He's 6'3", he's 231 pounds. He entered the NFL after signing as an undrafted free agent by the Vikings in 2021. He was waived by the Vikings on August 23rd. He was signed to the Eagles practice squad, was released on October 18th. So this is a guy who, through his 1 year in the league, has already bounced around between two teams. He's now here in San Francisco on the practice squad. Then you had safety Will Parks, who was an Eagle as well, and wide receiver Austin Watkins Jr. Welcome back, guy. Welcome back. He's back in San Francisco. I actually like that move.
Yeah, I mean, he's finally healthy. He had to recover from the injury, so he's healthy and he's good to go. And then the linebacker. I mean, they've been bringing in linebackers all year. Different guys that are the same size. A little 6'2", 6'3", 230 pounds that can run. That is their prototypical style of linebacker. They bring them in and then they use them and then pretty soon they move them on. So they're just taking a look at guys all the time, seeing if they can, catch lightning in a bottle. I believe somebody that they can develop. But then they got Parks, and Parks is going to be somebody they're going to count on in the safety room just in case. They have Tony Jefferson as well. So let's see, who is the one that gets moved up, who's the one that's going to be active for this game. Because more than likely, Jimmy Ward is out. I think everyone knows that. Jaquiski Tartt out. So they're going to be rolling. Right now they have 3 active guys on the roster that can play safety, so more than likely somebody's coming up. My guess would be Tony Jefferson. He's been with them all through training camp, and then, for a while on the practice squad. So somebody I trust, too, somebody that I believe that can go in there and give you good snaps.
Accurate. You are very accurate there indeed. These practice squad moves are good for depth. They're good in case emergency stuff and situations happens. The 49ers, released a bunch of guys the other day, and you and I both anticipated this meant that they were bringing in some reinforcements in certain positions in certain areas, and they definitely did. Some guys that they've had their eye on, obviously, and Austin Watkins Jr. is finally healthy, so they can bring him back into the fold and get him going again, because it's the guy they had signed as an undrafted free agent. He looked good in camp up until the foot injury, so they're happy to have him back. That's right. But that just, this is something the Niners are going to continue to do. They're going to continue to make moves, continue to stack depth. And I'm really now looking forward to seeing what this D-line and this group is going to look like. Healthy D Ford back into the fold, into the mix. And the new man, the new guy, Charles Omena, who is going to be a big week this week for this 49ers team. You're going to have yourself a little bit of a dinged up. It's going to be a dinged up Arizona Cardinals. They may not be completely demolished or ravaged by injuries, but they're definitely going to be dinged up. And this is a week for the 49ers to take advantage.
Yeah, it is. I mean, anytime you have an opportunity to win a football game, no matter who is playing on the field, you go do it. And you know what you don't feel? You don't feel sorry because they're missing guys, because no one's sorry for you when you're missing people. You just go out there and win. It's a cutthroat business, and you got to take care of it. So yeah, they're not going to care who's lined up out there. They just got to go out there and get it done. And it's nice that they're getting some pieces back. You can tell there's a little bit of an energy. The big win against Chicago was good for the team. Now they got to build off of that. And I think if they beat Arizona, they're going to have a lot of momentum going into the Rams game. And that's what we need. We need to turn this season around. There has been, correlation for this happening to many teams in the past, where you're struggling and then all of a sudden you get something going early and you ride that wave all the way to the playoffs. Let's hope the 49ers can get that done right now. It's early. It's early in the wave. We don't know how this is going to develop. They're paddling right now. We're going to see where they get to. But ultimately, I like where we're headed.
I absolutely love it as well. I love the surfing analogy. And you know what? We may be riding a wave of momentum, but at least we're not riding the waves of fathers tweeting out videos of their son being wide open and the team intentionally not getting him the football.
Who did that?
A certain OBJ senior.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way. And now OBJ, no longer with the team, apparently for the rest of the season, is what I'm now reading going across. So drama there. Boy, oh boy, am I glad we weren't some of those people who were pushing for an OBJ trade, Ant, because the last thing I want to deal with is more drama in the wide receiver room. We've had enough of that this season. Let us know what you thought about everything we just broke down in the comment section below right now. Concerns about Mr. Deebo Samuel, concerns about Trent Williams, disappointed in the Dre Greenlaw update, surprised by the fact that the Niners didn't come to Jimmy Garoppolo with any potential trade offers or opportunities, and the Brandon Aiyuk GPS, I guess, conundrum that occurred. Does it blow your mind, man? Or are you sitting there like the gentleman who's going to be on Big Yikes Monday, who's like, I cannot believe they would do this to this man over a GPS? We want to hear from you. We may differ, right, on the way we view this team and what we expect, or how we want things to go, but at the end of the day, we all want the same thing as 49ers faithfuls, as members of the Cutback crew. We want the 49ers to have success and win football games.
I did hear another one on Twitter that I'll go ahead and say to you. That was pretty exciting. Was somebody said, "Well, of course he doesn't run full speed on his routes. Jimmy the Garoppolo can't get him the football."
That's circular reasoning, Ant. That's also known as a logical fallacy. It's not even an argument. That's just nonsense.
But I'm curious what everyone else thinks about this. Do they think Brandon Aiyuk was, dogging it and Kyle Shanahan was doing the right thing?
True.
And I am curious what everyone thinks because we're only a couple of guys and we look at it from a certain perspective, but maybe everyone else sees it a different way. We see it from a coaching perspective. Maybe a fan perspective is completely different. But I'm interested to see what comments we get. I'm sure we're going to get them on both sides, and
100%.
I'm ready to read all of them. It's going to be fun.
All of it. We're ready for all of it. We love you guys. Thank you so much, all of you, Cutback crew, top to bottom, whether you're a day one, right? Been here since the beginning. We were rolling through almost an entire year of the NFL, Ant, with like 100 subscribers. Whether you're one of those day oneers or, people who found us this offseason, or you're new to the channel, you're brand new, you're like blazing agent down there who just subscribed, just joined the Cutback crew. We cannot thank you enough for the support. Thank you so much. If you want even more content, head on over to Patreon. You got all 22 film breakdowns, big yikes, 49ers cutback in times, Madden playthroughs, the Madden League starting on Friday. If you're on Patreon, you are going to enjoy that because I'm going to try and live stream the draft. That's going to be a blast. You don't want to miss that. A lot of smack talking going on and fun fantasy stuff, as well as KNDR Collectibles down there who updated his membership, trying to absolutely take it to everybody. It's going to be a blast. You don't want to miss out on any of the great content on Patreon or any of the delicious merch over on the merch shop. A lot of great stuff for you. A lot of ways to engage in this channel. We can't thank you enough. And until the next one, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.